Janja Garnbret climbing movement analysis. Your response in the previous Janja climber profiles video has been heard. So today we will explore Janja Garnbret's climbing style in detail and analyze the secrets to some of Janja Garnbret's signature moves. Congratulations to Janja Garnbret for winning gold at the Tokyo Olympics. Yes, the commentator kept calling her Janja Garnbret. Hello climbers and welcome back. Two parts in this video. In the first part, we are going to talk about her less recognized strengths in her climbing style and why Janja Garnbret may not be as dynamic as you think she is. Then in the second part, we're going to explore how she's able to do these incredible moves and look into some theories to explain how it works, including a new climbing concept that might blow your mind and how you can learn from this to improve your own climbing. Climbing style, powerful and dynamic or static? It is generally agreed that Janja Garnbret's style is dynamic, flashy and powerful. She even describes that her style is powerful, but there are many instances where she actually opts to go slower and more static. We can look at the comparison here in the Olympic final where Akio Noguchi and the other climbers chose to go dynamic, cut loose, which in this case is riskier. However, Janja Garnbret found a way to go static and safe by using a high foot and then rocking over. This actually isn't surprising as she had always been solid and conservative in lead routes, even back to her first World Cup competition. This flexibility and ability to adapt styles is one of her less recognized strengths, and she isn't credited for this.
Hey man, but I always see Janja pouncing, flying and fish hooking everywhere.
Yes, but let me explain. Although at first, Janja's powerful style might look risky, she actually uses her power to be safe. Here in this example at Innsbruck 2021 lead final, other climbers jumped and took the undercling in a coordination way, choosing to fight the swing. With this method, there are many things and many factors that could go wrong, just like it did for these climbers. Janja Garnbret, however, opted for a more powerful method. Yes, she is the queen for holding swing, and how she does so we will explore later in part 2, but Janja opted to go for this method for this situation by catching the hole with two hands, going left on the underside of where the sweet spot is and then supplementing it with her right hand to get the most out of the groove of the hold, instead of going left hand, having a risky left foot plant and then having to hold the swing. This was ultimately the safer option because it had less risk factors or droppable factors. Janja's knowledge of this climbing hole gives her the edge and confidence to perform this move as she knows the sweet spots of this hold, whereas Laura Rogora doesn't know how to hold this squadra volume and slips off. This is where deep knowledge of how climbing holes are shaped and learning the effects of dual texture can help you in your climbing. If you want to know more about climbing holes and maybe an intermediate guide on climbing holes knowledge, comment Janja climbing in the comments down below. So although Janja Garnbret sacrifices efficiency by using her power, she uses it effectively to secure safer positions and finds the method that reduces her risk or fall factors. And she knows a bit about climbing holes as well. The mystery of Janja Garnbret's signature moves. We've seen Janja Garnbret pull off these insane moves and always somehow magically is able to hold these ridiculous barn door scenarios. Nobody has been able to figure it out and she probably doesn't know the secret herself. But we have two theories to explain how this might work. The first theory is the concept of collision reduction, and the second theory will be a brand new framework that might blow your mind. Collision reduction. This concept was made popular by German coach Udo Niemann, Hodor Newman, Udon Noodle. And this concept explains how climbers are able to kill the extra momentum to stick these dynamic moves. I won't go too in-depth here because he is probably the best at explaining it, but the basic summary of the concept is that climbers aim to reduce the amount of force going through the body, especially during the dynamic movement. That's their main goal. And Janja Garnbret does this by keeping tension on her upper body, but she lets her lower limbs remain loose, springy, to act like a sponge to absorb the excess forces. So the strength of this theory is that it explains the inner mechanical workings of how it kills momentum, but it does not explain in terms of body position and balance. This makes it difficult to understand what Janja is doing for beginner and intermediate climbers. So in this case, I want to introduce a new concept to explain why Janja lets her body go all the way past this center midline. This new theory builds on the classic 3 points of contact concept, and it's called the 3D space points of contact theory. Ooh, big brain. Traditional 3 points of contact, which I'm sure you all are familiar with by now, is when you have a base of support followed by the third point where you're holding onto the wall that forms a nice triangle. So typically how you stop barn doors is by using techniques like the back step, flagging, keeping 3 points of contact on the wall, because if you only have two in a straight line like this, you will barn door. But what if I told you you can have 3 points of contact with only 2 points on the wall?
Wait, what?
Remember anytime when you were climbing on an overhanging wall and you have a high right foot followed by a back flag, but your foot is like kind of dangling in the air? Your foot doesn't necessarily have to touch the wall, right? So you only have 2 points touching the wall or holds. This is because you actually don't need to have 3 points of contact on the wall. So in this example, we can draw the same triangle, our usual balanced position, but without 3 points of contact, physical contact with the wall. This is what I mean by 3D points of contact. So this theory focuses more on the body positions and how your body is weighted. Comparing a normal climber here with this technique and then with Janja, you can see that Janja lets herself and her body float all the way across to form the triangle. And look, we have the 3D points of contact. This theoretically achieves a balanced position. Janja has somehow developed the ability to be familiar with these unnatural positions, and I was mind blown when I first realized this. So let me know in the comments section what you think of this theory. Here are other examples where we see the 3D points of contact concept, and these examples somewhat similar to what Janja is doing on mid-air, mid-action, because her goal is to get her hips back into the wall. And when you're doing a coordination, especially at the start, you are also trying to get your hips close to the wall and negotiate the distance between your hip and the wall with the distance you're trying to cover in the coordination move. So have a look at these examples and you can see what I mean by the 3D points of contact theory. This might stretch and maybe more of your thinking about climbing not just in a 2D wall perspective, but in a very 3D dimensional aspect as well. I kind of went a bit off script there because I just realized this as I was trying to record this audio, so yeah, I'm kind of mind blowing myself right now as well. Okay, but let's continue. In addition, another observation we see Janja does is that she flows with the momentum and does not directly try to fight against it. After establishing her 3D points of contact, from this point she uses the flow of the momentum to wring herself back into the wall. She achieves this by flowing with the momentum, developing her 3D points of contact stable position instead of fighting it all the way from the very start. How many times have you barn doored with a stiff leg? Janja keeps her legs loose and bent, allows herself to flow and not fight the barn door. Bent joints also reduce the length of the moment arm and torque, making it easier for Janja to hold on. So, the combination of collision reduction and 3D points of contact concepts is how we can unlock the secrets of Janja Garnbret's signature moves. If you liked this analysis, crimp that like button and comment who we should analyze next. Click here to know more about Janja Garnbret. See you in the next one. Let's climb together.